Muted.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ernest. I can see our guest speaker is here. Good to have you here, Muyiwa. So, good morning again, everyone. Welcome to Roots and Banter. Roots and Rings. Welcome to Roots and Rings. My name is Sonia Agbori, and I'm your host for today. Thank you very much for taking out time out of your busy schedule to be present, to have this very important conversation. And before I proceed, I'd love to say that this webinar is hosted by Brains and Banter. And you're probably wondering, what is Brains and Banter? You're going to learn more about it before I invite our guest speaker here. But before we do that, I would like us to do a very quick activity since we are here to talk about identity. So quickly, I would love for everyone to put in the chat box how they would describe themselves in 2 words. What would describe you? What words would describe you if your friends were to talk about you or your family members? So can everyone indulge me and quickly do that? I want to see how diverse we had here on the call. So I'll be looking at the chat to see your responses. Okay. Someone here said, so came and said witty. Muyiwa said driven and creative. Stella said calm. Mm. Okay, I'm waiting for a few more responses before I proceed. Mm. Ernest said reliable. Esther NK said cheerful and reliable, bold and beautiful, Tola. How would I describe myself? Mm, beautiful and smart, I guess. So yes, I love all of these responses, and this just goes to show that we are diverse people, and it's important to know who you are. It's going to, you know, knowing who you are helps your confidence. It helps you in whatever you do, basically. And it will be hard for anyone to tell you otherwise when you are sure of who you are. So, thank you for indulging me. I would like to tell you a bit about Brains and Banter before I introduce our guest speaker for today. So, Brains and Banter is a space that supports African minds through powerful conversations and real opportunities. We help people, especially those looking for support, for their studies in the UK, US, or Canada. We help them we offer postgraduate services. And we do more than that. We also host conferences and webinars that connect smart, passionate Africans in the diaspora. So this is like a community as well. Beyond offering postgraduate services for those who want to further their education abroad, we also have created a space for smart Africans. I believe we are all smart here, particularly those abroad. And so it's a space for connecting, networking, and getting guidance. I think it's very important. The importance of community cannot be overestimated. Imagine relocating abroad, you feel lost. Brains and Banter is that community that can help you feel, you know, among. You can speak with people who have worked the same part, who probably have faced similar challenges, and it just helps you make life easier. So I hope I've been able to answer your questions because I believe someone would have wondered what is Brains and Banter. So that's what Brains and Banter is about. Now, I am going to welcome a speaker, Muyiwa. I'll be reading his profile, a very rich profile. So I would love to have your rapt attention as I do so. So I feel so honored, myself and the rest of my team. We feel honored to have Muyiwa here because he's someone who embodies the theme fully, roots and wings, embracing your identity. He's a storyteller, a filmmaker, and a voice that you have to listen to. So I'll proceed with the bio. I'll read his profile. Mm. So, Muyiwa Adeshokun is a talented author and filmmaker whose work is reshaping African storytelling across literature and cinema. His debut poetry collection, The Taxi Driver, and other poems quickly garnered international acclaim for its keen observations of contemporary life, social commentary, and disarming humor. Shortly after its release in the United Kingdom, the book rose to the top 15 in Amazon's African poetry category, marking him as a bold new literary voice. Building on his storytelling craft, Muyiwa made a powerful entry into film and television. His first feature film, Shino, which he wrote and directed, became an instant success on Netflix. Within 48 hours of its release, it was the most streamed film in Nigeria and later ranked as the second most watched film in the country for 2024, a rare feat for a directional debut. Newell's contribution to literature and cinema demonstrates his passion for storytelling and his ability to engage audiences with relatable themes and fresh perspectives. He is recognized as an exceptional talent by the Arts Council of England. Beyond his creative pursuits, Muyiwa finds joy in birdwatching and wildlife photography, and we are honored to learn from him today as he speaks on embracing identity in a new culture. This is a very interesting profile, diverse, storytelling, filmmaking, photography. We are really ready. I don't know about the rest of the audience, but I'm ready to draw from a wealth of knowledge and experience. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Muyiwa Adeshokun as it takes the floor. Hello, Muyiwa.
Hi, Sonia. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
All right. So you have the floor, Muyiwa. You can give us what we are here for. We are here to listen to you speak on roots and wings, navigating life in the UK, excelling in your career without feeling intimidated, without changing who you are, staying true to yourself. So, what do you have for us?
Um, what would you like to know? Um, it's been an interesting journey. It's been a big change, transitioning from Nigeria to the UK. I think I would like to start by saying I had no intention to to relocate. It wasn't something that I necessarily planned or I necessarily was um, going to do. But then I think I was surrounded with relentless people, people that fasted and prayed and were committed to making sure that I considered it. And I think there is no way that I can share my story without talking about my faith. Because it's such a big decision. It's a life-changing decision. And I don't think it's a decision you can make um, based on math or logic. Um, and so I decided to pray about it. And I think I was on my way from Ibadan. I traveled to Ibadan that day and I was on my way back. And I just heard, it was like, I'll call it a word. I heard a word and it was like, wherever you go, you'll be fine. And for me, that was like the assurance that, okay, this journey you're about to embark on, I'm not doing it on my own accord, on my own ability. So that gave me a bit of assurance and confidence to take this big step. And yeah, so far it's been brilliant. No regrets.
Oh, that's great. So, I like the part where you said you heard a voice tell you you'll be fine, whatever it is, and I guess that's enough to boost anyone's confidence. So I'm curious. I think every other person on this call is also curious. I would love to know, how did you get into writing? How did you know you had the gift? How did your journey start? And what has it been like evolving into what you are now? I mean, you made it to top 15. on the Amazon's African poetry list. And yeah, that's quite impressive. So let us know about your journey. How did you get there? How did it start?
Growing up, I liked reading, and I like watching movies. I didn't know what was behind making a movie or writing a book, but I know that I would watch a movie and, when the end credits are rolling, I would feel like, I would love to be a part of this project. I would love my name to be on there. But I think the turning point started, there was this summer where my sister, who schooled in the UK, she came home with uh, a luggage full of books. And she also came home with a trophy of, I think he said best in poetry or something like that. And me being very competitive, I felt like, if she could do it, so could I. So I buried myself in books. I read a lot. I read a lot of books, and then I just started writing. And there was one day that I posted something that I'd written, and someone asked me a question. Do you have a book? Where can I find your book so I can read more of your poems? And that was how the idea to write a book started. And I reached out to a mentor of mine who had written a couple of books at the time, and told him, "Oh, I want to write a book. What advice can you give me?" And he literally said, "Open Microsoft Word and start writing." And that was it. That's how the taxi driver was born. Thankful for its success. And as regards the film, that's also a very peculiar story because um, the whole story of Sheena was a dream. I had slept up and I had this dream of this story about a taxi driver trying to save his grandma. And the way dreams are, dreams can be fleeting. So I just woke up and quickly wrote it down. And then I started reading a lot about screenwriting and script and how movies are made. And yeah, and I shared the script with a friend of mine. And yeah, the feedback was great. Let's make this film. My intention at the time was, just to be the writer. Just credit me for writing the film, and I'm okay with that. But the production company got back to me that after reading the script, they think that I'll be a good fit to direct it, and I think that was one of the hardest thing I've ever done. It's like I was thrown into the deep end. Um, but yeah, that's in a nutshell how I got into filmmaking.
Oh, that's quite an interesting transition. So when you had the dream, why didn't you think of writing a book? I mean, you're a writer, right? And you write poetry, which are stories in a week. Why do you think of writing an actual book out of that? Why film? Why filmmaking? Why did you go that direction?
I think in me, I've always wanted to make a film, but I did not know how to go about it. So I thought this would be a good opportunity. And the story didn't feel like it would be a poem or novel. Although because before the film was made, we had a writers forum where a group of people came to critique the script and to give their feedback. And they said when they were reading it, it felt like a book. It felt like they were reading the book and they could not drop the book down. So maybe in a sense, it could have done well as a book, but I've always wanted to make a film, and I'm glad I did.
Oh, okay. So do you think it's something you could adapt into a book sometime in the future, based
No,
on the
no,
feedback you got?
no, no. We've crossed that bridge. No.
All right. So while we're still on that journey, I would love for you to speak a little about navigating the UK industry as an author and filmmaker. What has been your biggest lessons? And I think this would be a good question for those who want to work a similar path. So, um, what do they need to know before stepping in or working that same path?
I think the most important thing I would say is to have a plan. Don't make the move and then start planning. Start planning before you make the move. It's like uh, it's like you're running a to just give an illustration or example. It's like you're running a campaign, say Black Friday campaign. Black Friday campaigns don't start on the day of Black Friday. It starts weeks, sometime months before the campaign. And I think that's the way with when you're migrating or transitioning is to prepare yourself ahead, have a plan. Thankfully, I have a background in design as well, so that kind of complemented my transition in settling down, and getting a job. But yeah, I would say have a plan. Have a plan A, have a plan B, have a plan C. Don't make the move without having one. Don't make the move with the mindset that, okay, let me just get here first and then we'll figure it out. Because how do you prepare for uncertainty? It's it's tricky. It's scary, and to do that without a plan, it's even more scary. So that would be my advice.
Okay, I hope we are taking notes because I'm making mental notes. If you have your pen and jotter, please take down these importance. You never know you're going to need them. So on identity, heritage, and belonging, how did moving to the UK challenge or reshape your understanding of identity as a Nigerian? Did you feel very more aware of yourself as a Nigerian, as a Black person? What was it like for you relocating to the UK?
For my identity, it made me to realize that Nigerians, and I think Africans in general, we are very passionate about success. Like we want to be successful. We want to it's like we're trying to prove it to someone to say I made it. We
Mm.
want to be successful. We're very passionate about success. And I think in Nigeria, it wasn't so pronounced. I mean, it's there, but over here, it's like, yes, I want to thrive. I want to make it. Um, so I think in terms of my identity, that was one thing that I observed. It was just this zeal and impetus and drive to just be successful. Um, because and another thing I'll add to that is if you've seen people make the move and they've made something good for themselves, they've been successful, that only adds to the drive to say, if so and so could do it, I can as well. So I would say the to answer the question, I would say just observing how passionate we are about being successful, and success could mean different things to people. Um, is one thing that I think strengthened my identity as a Nigerian in the UK.
Okay. So, is that at any point in your journey, did you feel a need to shrink to fit in, or did you try to change parts of yourself to thrive as a professional in the UK, maybe socially as well? Was there any need for that, or you were just who you are, always who you are?
Um, that's a great question. There's this story my friend told me. She was working. She was working, and she she felt out of place in the sense that they would go out, say for lunch, they would have a smoke or have a drink, and she did neither of those things. The weekend they would plan activities, and she just felt out of place. Where maybe they're ordering drinks and she doesn't drink alcohol, and it just felt awkward. It felt out of place. But I wouldn't say for you to fit in, do things that you normally wouldn't do. I
Mhm.
think that would be wrong advice. And I think what helps in you being yourself, and is your faith and your values. Let your faith and values filter the information you're receiving, and let it help you make the right decisions. For instance, my faith and values are filtered, and I might be shaking a table here. Is one of the things that I struggle with, is still alien to me, is the celebration of Halloween. I don't get it. I don't get what's behind it. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. We can have a debate. I still have the debate about that. But personally, for me, it's something that is alien to me and something that I'm not sure I would embrace just because I don't know what's behind it. And I wouldn't advise myself to say just to fit in, to go ahead and join the celebrations and to be a part of it. It's not something that I'll advise myself to do. And so whatever your values or whatever your faith is, let it filter the decisions you make. Because that is more or less the bedrock of your identity as a person.
Oh, okay, interesting. So from what you said, um, you basically didn't change who you are. You didn't have to
Yeah.
shrink. But at some point, were you tempted to? Did it occur to you? Was it
Yeah,
something?
yeah, for sure. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but then you
Yeah.
remembered who you are, right? Your values.
Yeah. Like if it's something you wouldn't do at home, why would you not come over here and do it?
Uh, okay.
Yeah.
So now, from what you said, my next question was going to be, do you think it's possible to fully embrace the British culture without losing touch of your heritage? And where do you draw the line?
Absolutely. British culture is the British culture is kind, it's polite, it's they love to travel, it's simple. And I think it works well for someone like me because I'm a simple person. Um, they're amazing storytellers. Like if you watch their TV shows, their movies, the way the British person tells a story, it blows my mind every single time. So there are positives. There are things that one can imbibe from the culture, and just like I said, you filter in what you like about the culture and what you'd like to embrace. On the other hand, the culture can be a bit uh, it can be a bit isolating in the sense that everyone minds their business.
Hmm.
Literally everybody minds their business. And from someone coming from a communal background where family and friends, it could be a struggle for some people. And I'll give an example. There was a time my wife and I were walking we were taking a walk in the park, and then we saw little kids there, barely teenagers, and they were making out in public. And we were laughing to each other, like, you know, let this thing be in Nigeria. Like, you wouldn't even have to wait for, the parents to rebuke them for what they are doing. They won't even be so bold to do it publicly. And so, like, everyone was just minding their business. Everybody was just walking straight, like they didn't see nothing. They did, which was weird. Another instance was I was on my way out, but I think I was running late. So I was literally sprinting to catch a bus. The bus was right in front of me, and people were coming down from the bus, and I was waving to them, please tell the driver to wait a second. And it was like nobody saw me.
Mm.
I was in shock. It was what just happened. And it happened subsequently after that. And I think it was for me, message was for me not to be late and missing the bus. But it was just like everybody minds their business. And it could be a good thing to mind your business, but I also think it means that it could sometimes be lonely if you don't have a community. It could get lonely, but yeah, that's what I can say about the culture.
Oh, great. I just noticed I have some people have a couple of questions and comments for you. But before I attend to them and proceed with the questions I have for you, I'd love to ask, you mentioned something about filtering, right? The British culture and just taking what you think is good for you and isolating the others. So can you like mention a few of the British culture that you probably really liked and thought, okay, I'm going to take this one and keep it? Is there anything in particular,
Well,
the
yeah, I
culture,
already mentioned it. The big one for me would be the storytelling.
storytelling?
The
Okay.
way they tell their stories, you can tell that they took their time. You can tell they're very intentional about it. Um, the way they build their characters, the plot twists. the way they shoot their movies is so different from the way the Americans do it. It's very, it just has the sense that it was thought about. Every single thing was thought about. And yeah, for me, that's the biggest thing so far that I've embraced from their culture is their storytelling, their love for literature, their love for reading, their love for books. There's literally a library in every town you visit. So yeah.
Okay, so writers in the house, creatives, hope you're taking notes. So apparently the UK, the British culture embraces and encourages creativity, especially in writing. And yeah, that's something to look out for if you're planning to relocate sometime in the future. So I'm going to take a question from Toby. Toby asked, what was the process of making Shino into a film? How do you know who to give your work to critique? And how did you send it out before reaching out for directing? And he went, Toby went further to say, as someone who just started writing, how do I grow? When I write, what's next?
Uh, that's a big question. The process for Shino was, again, when I started writing Shino, I didn't know what would come of it. I actually thought it would be a short film. But as I started writing, it started developing into a full feature film.
Mm,
Um, so when I was done writing it, I reached out to a production company, and this my template might not work for everybody. There'll be different templates. But one way for you to get visibility would be I would advise you attend a lot of film festivals. If you can, attend movie premieres as well. So at least you are kind of in the room of people that you would like to collaborate with. And it could be from just having a quick conversation with them or reaching out to them and telling them, that you send them a DM later or that you be sending them DMs and things like that. But there are different templates to it. But mine, I reached out to a production company. And thankfully, they were kind enough to read my script. They were kind enough to even tell me that they would like me to direct it because on their part, that was a bold move. That was a bold decision because, there was money involved as well, and investments were being made. So it was uh, it was a bold decision on their part. So, like I said, my template won't work for everyone, but
mm,
for in terms of getting visibility, work on your craft because and be really good at writing. Um, because when you get the opportunity, that's the opportunity. And if the work is not good enough, you might need to go back to the drawing board and go again. So be really good at writing. If it's films you write, watch a lot of films. As you're watching the film, if you can get your hand on the script to understand behind the writers, what was in the writer's mind, that would also help. So as you're watching the film, you're reading the script. That helped me as well. But be really good at your craft. Be really good at storytelling. Uh, yeah. Did I stay anything left on the question?
yeah. Thank you, Toby. I hope you has been able to answer your question. And if you think you still have more questions, there's going to be time for that. You could speak up and let's hear you speak. So I'll be going to a comment by Henry Adetimiri. He said, it was reacting to something you said. He said, I agree with you. The communal life in Nigeria breeds bonds that transcends blood and family. Your immediate neighbors are like families in Nigeria. Here in
Yeah.
the UK, you can have a neighbor for years and not know each other's names. I guess
Facts.
something you can testify to, right?
Yeah, I'm actually guilty of that because I have neighbors and I don't know their names. I mean, we wave at each other, hi, hi, but that's about it. Um, it is what it is. But I think personally, I'm a reserved person, so I'm not too bothered about not being, should I say, communal with my neighbors. But if you're the type of person that, really likes that bond, and I think there's nothing wrong in you
Making the move.
making the move.
Mm.
If you can, go for it. And you find out that they're also pleasant people, but it's not just in them to feel like they're invading your space, invading your privacy, and I think they've just grown up to be on their own.
Mm.
But yeah, if you can
Wow.
make the move, why not?
Okay. So apparently this had nothing to do with the UK culture, you not knowing your neighbor's name. It's just who you are. So back home in Nigeria, you were also very my business
Uh,
kind of person.
Not really. I mean, because also in Nigeria, they will force you to talk, even if you
Mm.
don't want to talk. You know, the old woman down the road can just stop you and ask you a few questions, and then you get talking. Uh, but yeah, it's also back in Nigeria. There was also a lot of avenues for you to have conversations, and even if in the community you're in, you didn't have friends, a quick drive to the mainland or to the island. There was just family around, there was just people around, there was just friends around.
It was hard to mind your business here.
It was, yeah.
All right. So thank you, Henry Adetunri, for your contribution. And we have a question from Tolu Akiyemi. It says about changing, whether changes, adjustments, adaptations you had to make that were not negative or value compromising, but just necessary or practical.
Mm, that's a deep question.
Should I come again? Was that clear?
Yeah, yeah, you can come again.
Okay, so about changing, were there
Yeah.
changes that you had to make that were not negative or value compromising, changes that didn't compromise your values, but were just necessary or strategic?
I think one change that I've had to make, and I think it's related to what I just said, was me being a reserved person. Um, especially especially in the workplace, you have to be, or I learned to be more. I learned to be more spoken, to be more. I don't want to use the word friendly, so I don't come across as someone that is not friendly. But I learned to make friends. Let me put it that way. I learned to make friends, um, which I think is a good thing, to learn to be able to to make friendship out of nothing, especially in the workplace, because you don't want to be the person that just comes to work and then goes home, you know. And I think another important point to make is important early on for the friends that you are making or the community you are making to know who you are, to know the kind of person you are, to know the values that you have. That saves a lot of conversations in the future. So they know, oh, that Muiwa doesn't do this, Muiwa doesn't do this. But that doesn't mean you still can't be friends, if that makes sense. So I would say one of the things that I've learned here or I'm learning is to be more, uh, especially in the workplace, is to be more open. It's okay to have good friendships, good relationship in the workplace. Don't isolate yourself.
Mm.
Don't feel like a stranger in the workplace. Don't just go to work and leave. If there's an event, if they're trying to do something, be involved. Basically, is what I would say.
Okay, so I think I've heard a couple of friends speak about work relationships in the UK and not having to participate even when you don't want to. So is there like some kind of repercussions in quotes if you decide to like isolate? Does it affect your growth in the workspace or in your career growth?
Uh, hmm. I wouldn't want to say it does, but who knows what happens behind closed doors.
Mm.
Well, especially if in the workplace you are aiming for like a senior position or for uh like career, trying to get up the career ladder, you just being isolated doesn't really help your case. Because again, you need to show signs of leadership. You need to show that you can collaborate. You need to show that you are good with people. So I think, yeah, you not you being isolated and you just keeping to yourself wouldn't really help in that sense.
Okay. So thank you. I think we're done with the questions for now. I'll proceed to ask the questions I have for you. Now let's talk about success, cost, and reality of the UK dream, the Jackpot dream. I mean, while we are speaking about the UK, I feel like most of the things we're talking about are relatable to those who aspire to travel abroad, anywhere abroad, be it the USA, Canada, wherever it is.
Mm.
So what were some of the unseen, unexpected costs of making it in the UK? And by cost now, we're talking emotional costs, financial costs. What's that thing people don't really get to talk about? Because when people are thinking jackpot, I don't think they really consider certain things or things they might have to give up, or
Yeah,
everybody just wants to get there and make it, right? If you want, I
yeah.
just get there, life will be good for me. So for you, what were some of the unseen ones that you didn't see coming, or is it that you never got to plan?
I did see it coming. The first one that really hit me was I think it was the financial bit. So I had gotten my endorsement, I'd gotten everything. And I think it was time to pay for the surcharge, the health surcharge. And I hear it's even more expensive now. And I did the total calculation. I'm like, how what's happening here? Like nobody told me about this bit. So I called my friend, the person who told me about the visa and stuff, right? You didn't tell me I had to pay this. And the question he posed to me is that, are you going to pay? Are you not going to pay? For like 2 days, I just left it there. I just left my laptop there. I was just thinking, I did not see this coming. So that was a big shock. Another cost I would say is the emotional bill of the family. Uh, leaving family behind. It was in the moment. It didn't feel like anything. Like you'll be fine, But when you make the move, when you're on the other side, you realize that yeah, things have changed now. You can't just say you want to go to see your siblings or anything like that. That was difficult, and um, another one I would say would be food.
Hmm.
That was a cost. That was a cost. Um, I think you would hear that the British people don't have spices in their meal, no flavor in their meal. But yeah, the food was a big one. But I think that one we can manage. That one we can manage.
Yeah, as someone who loves food and loves to be adventurous with food, I can imagine how expensive that cost is. I mean, regarding food. So, but now I think there are more. Would you say it helps? Because there's this thing we would say now about, I think, the UK being the capital of Nigeria, because it looks like there are more Nigerians
Yeah,
and Black people there now. So does that
I,
help in any way? I know they're not necessarily family. I mean, you can't really replace that. But does that help having more similar, should I say faces of people of similar culture? Does that help with eventually settling in?
it does. It does, especially when you're moving into a new environment or a new city. The first thing you want to know is it a diverse city? Are there Black people in this city? You you just want to feel like there are people of your kind around, you know.
Mm,
And it does help. It does help to see familiar faces. Sometimes unconsciously, I can walk into a restaurant and I'm trying to see if there's any Black person here,
mm,
you know. But it does help to see familiar faces, people of the same color, I guess.
okay. Yeah, got that. So now, many people, as expected, I mean, when they're going to the UK, they have expectations, they're expecting opportunity. They just believe when you get there, there's like a table of opportunities. You just pick whatever you like. People tend to forget to factor in the cost, like we said earlier. So, what advice would you give about what success really looks like over there, especially as a Black African, as a Nigerian? What advice would you give to people?
I think success is relative. Success for one person will be different from another. Success for one person might be to buy a house. For another person, might be to graduate with a distinction.
Mm,
Um, but the picture I like to paint about success is you as a person creating something, is you as a person being able to say, I created that, I started that business, is you being able to say, I wrote that, I acted in that. A wise man once said that your gifts will open doors for you.
mm,
And that's literally translates to success, where your gifts and your talents are creating opportunities for you. So that's what I would define as success as when your gifts and talents are opening doors for you. You're able to take care of yourself, you're able to take care of your family, and all with peace, all we're having peace of mind. That would be my interpretation
success.
of success. So yes, my advice would be if there's I believe everyone is good at something. And so
Mm,
if whatever it is that you are good at, own your craft, own your skill, and wait for the opportunities because the opportunities will come and there are opportunities everywhere. And sometimes you even have to create the opportunities yourself. I know of a person who had been looking for a job for a while, and I don't know how she came across the company, but then she went to pitch to them that of her skills to say, I can do this for you. You know, you guys need help in this. And that's how she got an interview for the role. They were not hiring for the role. They were not looking to hire, but she went to pitch herself to this business to say, I can help you with this and that. And so sometimes you need to create your own opportunities, but just be ready when the opportunities come. And that's why while you're waiting, you still want your craft to be better at it.
Thank you. So, in summary, always be ready. Don't wait for the opportunity to come first before you
Yeah,
start preparing. Stay ready like it's coming the next minute, the next second.
yeah,
Still shoot your shots. Don't be afraid to shoot your shots. You never know. And, sell yourself. And I think this is where identity also comes to take play. I mean, at the start of this session, I asked people to describe themselves using a word or two, and people describe themselves. So I think that also helps.
yeah,
When you're not sure of who you are, when you do not even know who you are, it's hard to sell yourself, not to talk about shooting your shot. It takes a lot of confidence
yeah.
in your craft or in your identity to be able to go for something or shoot at something. So now talking about skills, you spoke about skills. How have
Mm-hmm.
your skills and talents, because it looks like a multi-talented person, how have they been received in the UK? Did you ever feel like your work was being filtered through the lens of your skin color? Do you think at any point through your career progression in the UK, did you feel like, okay, if not for my skin color or my race or identity, things would have been a bit different. Have you ever had to deal with that?
No, I haven't. And I'll use the my book, The Taxi Driver, as an example. When I was collaborating with the publisher, one vital and important note they made was to make sure that anyone who picks up your book understands what you're saying, be it a black man, be it a white man. And that was amazing advice. Because I think sometimes we tend to make our body of work for our own people, for our own community.
Mhm.
I don't think we are very inclusive in our creativity. Um, and there was a day I got a feedback from a white man who bought my book, and he sent me a message of how he really likes it. I even went down to the details of his favorite poems and why those were his favorite poems, and that made me happy. That made me feel like, yeah, we accomplished our mission to make sure that this book is inclusive.
Mm.
Um, and I think we can also do that in our films. For Shina, for example, I'm not entirely sure if a white person watches the film would they might get the gist of it, they might get what's going on, but I don't think it will resonate with them as much. So especially in our films, I think there's room for us to be more inclusive in the stories we tell. And we can't say you are making a film and only Nigerians get the film or only Africans get the film. Um, we watch films, that the white man makes, and we get it, we love it, and I think we can also do the same on our end to make films that anyone that watches it gets it and understands it.
Mhm. Okay, you made a good point there. But don't you think we got to adapt to the stories they tell? Because I think when we tell our stories, first of all, I feel like not many of the people outside of here know our stories. So the point is to tell them this is what we are, this is our story. Not, I can understand. I mean, communication, I think as a writer, you would have failed if your audience do not understand
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying. I think the whole point of communication is understanding. You don't need to speak, use big words or whatever. Just write simply, let people understand you. So while they might not be able to relate to the experiences, because I mean, I think it's expected. I
Yeah,
think what matters is for them to understand and have an idea. Okay, as a Nigerian, as an African, this is what it's like to be here. This is what they deal with. Or
yeah,
don't you think?
I agree. So I'm not saying we shouldn't tell our stories,
Mm,
but I think it's also the way we tell it. It's in the way the script is written, it's in the way the film is being shot that would also aid the the expression of what it is you're trying to say.
mm,
So I'm not against us telling our stories. I mean, if we don't tell our stories, who will?
mm,
But I think it's in the way the stories are being told that would, and yeah, like you said, the white person might not resonate with the stories, but you should be able to evoke an emotion. You should be able to feel it, even if they can't resonate with it.
I get that. Okay, thank you for that answer. Now, I would like us to move to the next session, set of questions, navigation, growth, and guidance. So looking back, what
Mhm.
would you tell your younger self just arriving in the UK? What would you have done better or differently?
Ooh. Well, first of all, I would say that it can get cold. It's a shock coming from 30 degrees to sometimes -5, -6. So yeah, it will get cold. And I know it's not as cold in like places like Canada, but it's still cold. So that would be the first thing I would advise myself to prepare. But generally, I do not know if there is something that I would tell myself then that would make a massive difference because, like I said earlier, like how do you prepare for the unexpected? How do you like you don't know what's coming, and which is why I also alluded to the fact that it is super important to have a plan, to have a plan A, to have a plan B, to have a plan C. Um, and I would also I would also advise. I think prayer also worked for me. Like even after the fact that I heard the word that you can go ahead, like even when I got here, I was still in a place of what have you done?
Hmm.
You know, especially when you've laid the opportunities on the table to say and compare, like if you were to stay in Nigeria, that life was good, we were okay, and comparing it and you had just made the move, and you're like, what is
That'd be
going on?
worth it.
Yeah, so I think the transition itself, I would say, brought me closer to God. because I can't see the future. I don't know what's ahead, but I know someone who does. And so it will only make sense to have conversations with that person as an assurance that everything will be okay. I'll give the example. There was a day that I was literally like, did I make the right move? I was asking myself if I made the right move. And I just remember praying that day. And there was this scripture that came to mind, um, somewhere in Exodus. And the scripture was, my presence will go with you and I'll see this journey to the end. And I was
Mm.
like, oof, okay, I needed that. But as if that wasn't enough, the following Sunday, that was the Saturday. The next day, that was the Bible scripture that, the pastor used to share his sermon. And did that make me feel better? Yes. Did that um, increase my faith, so to speak? Yes. So I would say prayer, it did bring me closer to God in this migration, in this transition. Um, yes, it's something I would advise to for anyone thinking about it to do.
Mm. So yeah, that's interesting. So for you, God was like a major factor as well in
Yeah.
setting in. He gave you the confidence you needed. So I mean, from what you just said, looks like the cost of the UK dream for you was quite expensive. You had to like give up a very good life for something ahead that you
Yeah.
weren't even sure of. So that
Yeah.
was like a very bold move. And if anyone on this call is like Muyiwa, you could learn from him. So now I have two more questions before
Okay.
I open the floor to more questions from the audience. So what role, I mean, I spoke about community at the start of this session. So what role has community played in helping you not just survive, but thrive? Because from what we know about you from your profile, you are thriving in the UK. You're not surviving. I think there's a difference. It's one thing to survive,
Amen.
one
Amen.
thing to thrive. So tell us about it.
The role community has played. Uh, I would say just having great friendships, people that you can call, people you can rely on. Uh, don't take it for granted if you have such a community. I do, and I'm blessed to have, people around me here that I can go to their homes unannounced. I can feel comfortable. We can talk about different things, have nostalgic moments, um, trade opportunities. Oh, I heard this. I heard this. I think you'd be a good fit for this. Um, it's so important. It's so vital because at the end of the day, those people turn from like friends to family because they are your family here, and you create this bond that is important. And I'm blessed to have such a community. And I think one of the things when I got here was in searching for a community. I think it was finding the right place to call a church. That was a struggle. That was a big struggle. I attended a few places, but it didn't feel like home. It didn't feel like where I would call home or a place where I would like to go go every Sunday. Now until I found one, and it's been amazing because the friendships that have been built there, the people that I've come to know and call family, they've been a blessing, and that has really helped me in staying grounded, and staying rooted, and not feeling far from home.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And yeah, I agree. Community plays a very, very significant role in settling in. So I
Yeah.
think that's just another reminder that you really can't do life alone. And it
Yeah.
reminds me of the saying I heard a bishop say, Ubuntu, I am because you are. So
Mm,
no point isolating yourself. No matter how introverted you are, trust me, you always need someone. Maybe
yeah.
three people at your corner and something. So yeah, my final question for you would be, what's your advice for those planning to relocate? What three things should they prepare for beyond getting a visa or finding a job? I mean, you're the experts here, right? You've gone through that process. What did you learn from it, and what would you tell others to do better?
All three things would I advise.
Hmm.
Your faith and values is important. I would say that would be one. Secondly, I would say, and I think I'd mentioned this already, make sure you have a plan. Make sure there is a concrete plan. Know the plan inside out. Um, like, don't get here and start acting a plan. Make sure you have a plan before you get here. Um, and I know you said, aside from jobs and visas,
Hmm.
but another thing, and this is more leaning towards jobs, is preparing for interviews.
Hmm.
It's way different here than in Nigeria. The way the job market is one is it's very competitive. It's there's so many factors, and the way we prepare for interviews in Nigeria is quite different. If I look at my resume when I was in Nigeria to what I have now, total shock. Like, what? How did I even call that a resume? Um, so I think one thing I would advise is learn how to prepare for interviews. Thankfully, I'm married to someone in HR, so that gave me soft landing, in preparing for interviews and things like that. And she does this for other people where she helps them to prepare for interviews, helps them with their CVs, uh, because it's a wild, wild west. Your preparations, your resume needs to be stellar. Um, and yeah, I think those would be the three things I would advise.
Thank you. For me, the only thing I heard was marry someone in HR. So I've taken note of that. Now the next thing to do is to start finding a man in HR to help me and give me like soft landings. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing all of that with
Welcome.
us. It's been a very interesting session, and I hope everyone here who had doubts or concerns about maybe relocation or I just knew in the UK, I mean, you probably learned something. I hope you did because I did. So now it's time for more questions. I know some people dropped questions um during the course of this session. So if you would love to ask Muyua questions based on previous concerns, based on previous concerns or based on what is said, please feel free to raise your hands to speak, or you could put your question down in the chat box. So you have a question. What football club do you support in the UK? And has moving to the UK made you a better fan?
This is personal.
But I mean, it's out, yes, so I guess.
Yeah, this sounds like a personal question.
Mm,
Uh, well, it's been difficult. So I support Manchester United. Um, I think since I've been here, it's been turbulent. That's the only way I can put it. But has it made me a better fan? Let's just say I've included them in my prayers. That's all I can say because at this point, I I do not know the way forward. But like Arsenal fans would say, next season will be better. So that's our motto. Our motto for now. Next season will be better.
all right. I know nothing about football, but I guess I guess you answered your final question. So more questions, please. Anyone want to ask me your questions? Let's not be quiet, please. I mean, we're here for a reason. We came here for something. Except you're already full or filled up to the brim. I don't want to assume that. Let me check. I don't know if Dr. Ala is still on the call. Sorry, excuse me, give me a minute. Yeah. So if you do not have questions, does anyone have contributions to make? Please feel free to speak or signify. Okay, no questions. Muyiwa, do you have any extra words? I mean, looks like you're one who has a very good relationship with God. You hear from him a lot, so has he whispered anything to your ears for us?
I think well, one thing I can add is whether as a creative or someone who is trying to climb the corporate ladder, and you're trying to navigate the industry here, I think one thing I can advise is to look at those who have done it in the past, um, and look at how they did it here, which is something I'm still trying to navigate myself. For instance, as a filmmaker, as a writer, um, the Nigerians or the Africans that have come here and have been able to be very successful at it, how did they go about it? What competitions did they enter? Who were the producers that produced their films? What was their journey, essentially? And try and get bits from here and there, to making that journey myself. So if there's anything that you're trying to accomplish, anything that you're trying to achieve, it's worth looking at those who have done it in the past and see, because therein might lie the opportunity that you need to make that next step.
Thank you. I know I said that was supposed to be like a final word for us, but let me quote. I had to ask you this question. I guess I'm already tapping from your hearing abilities from God. So while you got to the UK, how long did it take you? I think that's I don't know if that's too personal, but I think people might be interested because you
Mm,
said something about how the what's it called? Things are quite different there in the
mhm,
in terms of getting jobs, of employment, interviews.
mm.
So was it did it take time for you to get something, or was it easy peasy for you, considering the fact that you're you are so
It wasn't easy peasy. It did take a few months, maybe 4 or 5, I think. And when I tell people that story, they allude to saying that I'm blessed, I'm lucky.
really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Um, so it could be that waiting season can be a challenge. But I think it's in that waiting season that you develop yourself for that opportunity that is coming. You have to be prepared. That opportunity cannot come and then you're not ready. Yes, you're still trying to sort your feet out. You need to take every day like the opportunity is coming any day from now, and I have to be ready. When it comes, grab it by the horns.
Oh, wow. 6 to 5 months and people call you blessed. So basically it could, I mean, that's like a very good time, right? And I don't think many people, I don't want to assume, but I don't think many people are aware that it takes that long. And, not being aware might, thinking if I get to the UK, I get a job in like a very short period. And the
Yes.
short period for them is not 5 or 6 months. And when the jobs do not start rolling, the opportunities do not come, they start to question their abilities, or they're like, okay, maybe something is wrong with me.
Exactly.
So yeah, I
Yep.
think this is a very good thank you for sharing that. So I think anyone with aspirations to travel abroad, I think they can prepare their mind for it. I know that nothing is wrong with them. They're not doing anything wrong. I mean, it's just how things are. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that. Tony Akpan has something in the chat. She said, "Thank you for sharing your stories and inspiration. They got me thinking about how much we learn every day interacting with people. So I'm glad to thank you, Toyin, for sharing your thoughts with us. I'm glad you learned something from this because I did, and I hope more people did. So thank you once again, Moyowa, for taking out time to share your story, to share your experiences, and some advice. We're
Yeah.
grateful to that. I am sure everyone had fun because this was fun for me listening to you. And yeah, so since we do not have further, okay, I have a chat here. Okay, Jibs A says, thank you, Muyiwa. Yeah, so thank you, Muyiwa. So
You're welcome.
since we do not have further questions and comments, I would like to move to the next session and I'll be
Okay.
bringing on.
Sorry,
Okay, Dawn
Sonia,
is
I have
speaking.
my hands raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
Sorry.
see that.
Yeah, so I just want to appreciate who you are for his time. And one of the things that actually stood out for me as during his the questions, how he was answering and all of that was his faith, the emphasis on his faith. And a question just dropped in my mind that I would really like to ask. Is that has that be I mean, has that has it always been there? That is, your faith, has it always been there, or was it as a result of probably because you wanted to travel at the point in time that you got so much connected to your faith? Because I asked that question because I've seen a lot of people where probably because of the condition or the situation of the economy,
Yeah.
and because they're preparing to travel, they get more connected that they've
Yeah.
always been, yeah, to their faith. So, so was that the case for you? That's number one. Number two, so for us here in Nigeria, we hear the same, statement from people abroad saying that the economy is the same here, the economy is the same everywhere, the economy is the same everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, you can't compare the economy here in Nigeria to what you have there in the UK. Is that the same thing? Is it the same thing, or there is a quite, can we pick some differences between that economy where you currently and the economy in Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The first one, yes, I would like to say it's always been there. But like it's such a big decision. It's such a decision. It's a life-changing decision that you can't just wake up and say, yes, this is it. I'm relocating to another country. Um, yes, I admit that it did bring me closer with God. And like growing up in Sunday school, we used to joke that learn to hear from God now. Like it's not when you're about to get married that you now start learning to hear from God to tell you who you should marry. And I think it kind of translates the same way as, I mean, if you've already had a relationship, it helps you to know when God is speaking. And it also works the same way, like if you find yourself in a dire situation and you're looking for help, it doesn't mean that, God won't speak to you or God won't hear your prayer. But in my case, yeah, I like to say that I've always had that relationship. The second question about the economy, huh? It's tricky because I know when I came, I think it was like the height of cost of living, and I think that was one of the things that made me question if I had made the right decision. Um, but yeah, the economy here as well is it's not great either. I don't think right now the outlook for the economy in general in different countries is not looking good either. So I think this is more like a trickling effect. Um, and it's just that some parts might feel it more than others, especially when the average or the average Nigerian, is struggling. Same with the average British man, to be honest. So I would say it is difficult in everywhere right now, um, and especially the job market. I mean, I think here as well. It's also different. I think it's also it's also tough and challenging because there's so many factors going on in the world that are affecting those decisions. And yeah, it's trickling down to companies here in the UK as well. So I would say the economy is just as tough.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if your questions were answered well, but I think it did justice to that. And I can also see in the chat that a couple of people are giving you your flowers. So, Stella Zike said, "Thank you so much, our speaker, for this impactful and insightful talk." Toby says, "Thank you." And Ifeanyi just says, "Thank you, Muyiwa, for such a wonderful talk. I really did learn a lot." I also got my flowers. She said, "You are such a very beautiful woman, Sonia, and you've been an amazing." Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much for also giving me flowers. I'm going to take very good care of it. So thank you. While we are not yet done, but we are done with the question and answer session. But before I hand over to Mr. Ernest to take up the next session, which is going to be brief, I would love to acknowledge I don't know if she's currently on this call, but I saw her earlier, Dr. Alo, the founder of Brains and Banter. So thank you very much, Ma, for giving us this opportunity to gather and talk about important things that matter. Like I said much earlier, we're about having topical conversations, helping each other as Nigerians, African in diaspora grow. So it's not even only for people abroad, even for Nigerians here or Africans who aspire to take that step. I mean, we're here we've created a platform, or she has created a platform to allow people guide others and, just have intelligent conversations. So one thing is sure, once you join the Brains and Banter community, if you were smart, just prepare to be 10 times smarter. I mean, I think I'm getting smarter since becoming part of this community. So yes, and there's also the part where we help people get admissions into universities in the UK, the US, and Canada. And in addition to being the founder of Brains and Banter, Dr. Alo is also the lead consultant of Brains and Butter, the sister company of Brains and Banter. So I'm just going to leave things here and bring on Mr. Ernest to take things on from here. So please don't run. We're not yet done. This is also very important as you might find what you're looking for. So Mr. Ernest.
It all starts with a thought, that itch for something more knowledge, more opportunity, more impact. But the moment you decide to pursue postgrad, your mind starts buzzing with questions. What should you study? Where should you apply? How will you pay for it? Suddenly it's a mess of browser tabs and deadlines, scholarship forms and visa rules. As the postgraduate journey is powerful, but let's be real, it's confusing, overwhelming and sometimes downright stressful. Maybe you felt stuck. Maybe you've closed your laptop in frustration, promising you'll try again tomorrow. But the problem isn't your ability, it's your strategy. That's where Brains and Banter steps in. We're here to make sure you don't just apply, you apply smart, strategically, confidently, and with purpose, Matt. Imagine the right course and country matched to your real goals. Personal statement coaching that helps you stand out. A crystal clear timeline so you never miss a deadline again. Visa and relocation guidance that means no surprises down the road, and one-on-one strategy sessions built entirely around you. Here's what makes Brains and Banter different. No cookie-cutter checklist, no guessing games. We take the time to get to know you, your dreams, your background, your real-life constraints. Then we build a plan that actually works for you. Whether you're eyeing the UK, Canada, the US, or Europe, or maybe you're just starting to figure it out, we've got your back. Because this isn't just an application, it's a turning point. The right guidance might be the difference between a missed opportunity and the beginning of an amazing new chapter of what's your next move? You can keep guessing, or you can take a strategic step forward. Chat with us on +234 805 111 99. Book your free strategy session. Let's plan your postgraduate journey together.
All right. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you so much, Mr. Muyiwa, for a wonderful session, wonderful Roots and Wings session. That was so amazing. So amazing. And I want to thank every one of us for being a part of this. Just like we just watched, that's are here to introduce you to our postgraduate service. All right. So Brains and Banter, like Sonia already introduced us to earlier, it's more than just a body. It's more than just a community. It's a community that is here to offer you help. Okay, to offer you services to help take the burden off your shoulders. And one of the ways we do that is through our postgraduate service. Okay, we know that it's sometimes very complicated to process postgraduate admission, especially when you're looking at schools outside the country. It can be very tasking, it can be difficult. Sometimes you don't even know where to start. Guess what? That is why Brace and Banter is here with our postgraduate service to help you make the right choices, to choose the right country, to help you craft a strong personal statement for your application, and also check all the deadlines, the scholarship, is it maybe visa guidance, immigration. Some persons are actually looking at, okay, I want to use the postgraduate pathway as a way to jackpot. Yes, that is also possible, but you need guidance so that you don't shoot yourself on the foot at the end of the day. You need to make the right decision. What kind of pathway should you take? What kind of course should you study? What kind of country should you look at? Is the UK the best option for you, especially with all the changes in the migration laws and policies? Or would you rather prefer you go to Canada? Are you looking at scholarship? Are you looking at Harvard? There are some schools you just feel like, oh, this one's it's not for me. It's for the elite. But guess what? With our plan, with our package, we can guide you through our strategic planning and processes that will help you gain admission, not just admission into these very prestigious universities, but you can also be on a scholarship if you do the right thing. So that's what we're here to guide you. I believe the contact us link has already been shared on the chat box. Please check the chat box, click there now and book your free consultation session. So your free strategy session, we're here to guide you. If you have questions, you need guidance, you need someone, an expert to talk to, we are here for you. So I believe the link is already on the chat box. So just go there, click on that link right now, fill the details, and one of our very experienced consultants will be in touch with you to guide you through all the process. All right. Thank you so much. And on that note, I would like to also thank every one of us again for being a part of today's session, Roots and Wings. And I know that it's been incredible to spend your time with us, listening, learning, and sharing from Mr. Muyiwa's experience and all that he has shared with us today. I know that we're taking it from here and we are just going to build on it, whether you're planning to relocate to the UK, to the US, to Canada, or pursuing your postgraduate studies. I think it's just a very good way to, not just to plan, but you need to put all these other things into consideration. Okay. So it's better you have your roots, and now how to fly is the next step. All right. So you have your roots, you're already from Nigeria, you are well trained, you are well cultured, but now let's help you fly. That's where Brains and Banter comes in, and that's what we're all about. So I believe we'll be seeing you some other time. Like Ms. Sonia has already said, we want to acknowledge our lead consultant again, Dr. Ohio-Omonkhomion, and the founder of Brains and Banter. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, this platform to brainstorm, to have this intellectual conversation. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sonia. I would like to hand over to you again. I know you don't want to speak again, but let me hand over to you. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ernest. I would love to assume everyone here is obsessed with my voice. But yeah, thank you again to everyone who showed up for this webinar. We're very grateful, and very special thanks to Muyiwa for being here. We do not take this for granted. So we hope to have you again when we have our next event. So like we said, we host webinars and conferences as well. So be on the lookout. You can join our community. You have the link like Mr. Ernest said. So let's stay in touch. Thank you once again for sharing part of your Saturday with us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and you continue to fly while staying rooted. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.
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 Bye. I guess I'll end the call now.